Let's talk about the projective personality test. First of all, I want to say, if you think the objective test, particularly the standardized test, are kind of boring, hard to develop and hard to administer and how to calculate, the projective personality tests and also the non-standardized tests are really exciting, but they're not so reliable. Well, let's look at them together. Okay? Well, the objective personality tests typically use trait model personality theory, assuming that personality can be measured and characterized and assessed. Projective tests usually stem from a psychodynamic or psychoanalytic model of personality theory. The psychodynamic or psychoanalytic theory holds that if you give a person a prompt that is indirect, he or she will respond to it in a way that demonstrates his or her unique personality. And this is where the idea of projecting comes from. The subject projects his or her emotions onto the prompt, whether it is a picture, a sentence, a story, or even a piece of music. So, the projective tests are seen as containing unstructured, ambiguous test items or prompts that encourage examinees to project their personality into the tasks using hidden wishes, attitudes, and needs in responding to the stimuli presented. And all projective tests share in common the utilization of ambiguous stimuli or tasks designed to provide a wide range of responses from the examinees. And these tests are especially sensitive in detecting unconscious mind or covert personality characteristics. Having said all of this, let's look at a videotape to see this is Professor Bradley, what he has to say about what the uses and the functions of projective test. And before you hear it, let's have these questions in mind. What are the goals of projective tests? What different kinds of projective tests there are available? And how can projective tests be used in research studies? Let's watch the videotape.
Projective techniques are an alternative to questions. They offer a way of finding out about people through the use of association and allowing respondents to express themselves in different ways. Such techniques are often used in qualitative research, but they can also be employed in quantitative studies. In quantitative studies, they take the form of well-worded, open-ended questions. Projective techniques include word association, picture association. Some projective tests use completion tasks. This might be a sentence, or maybe in the form of a cartoon. Another projective technique is analogy, and this includes different things such as symbolic analogy, a technique called obituary, role-playing, personification, the third-person test, brand personalities, indirect questions, and metaphor. Another projective technique is storytelling, and storytelling clearly requires respondents to share small accounts about any experiences that are broadly related to an issue.
Now you watch the videotape, you know the functions of projective tests for modern psychology, particularly for assessing hidden wishes or personality traits. And let's see what the projective tests and what are they. First, there is the word association that includes the rotor incomplete sentence blank, RISP. We're going to talk about this later. And then the significant others test, and also the simple word association test. Basically, just the word. Writing a sentence, think of something at a stem word. That's called a word association. Okay. Next, the picture association that has been widely used. The Rorschach-Implot test, the thematic perception test, orthophoto test, draw a picture or draw house tree person test, and tarot card. There was also the object association, for instance, stand tree miniatures, Lego miniatures, cartoon figures. And there was the music association that could be peaceful music, that could be merry music or happy music, and there was the sad music. Okay, and there also the people association. It could be think of family members. What can you tell a story about them? Think of a particular celebrity. What do you like about this person, or what do you hate about this person? And think about some non-fictional figures. Superman. Okay? And this are all the prompt that allows a person or individual to project his or her feelings, thoughts about her own feelings, thoughts at the moment. All right, having said all of this, let's just give some examples. First, look at the Rorschach ink block test. The Rorschach ink blot test is used to examine the personality characteristics and the emotional functioning of patients. It has been employed in diagnosing the underlying thought disorders and in differentiating psychotic from non-psychotic thinking in cases whereby the patient is reluctant to openly admit the problems he or she has. Let's see this picture. What do you think of it? Please write down your thoughts. Let's wait for a moment. Now you've written it down. Let's see what are your reflections. Oh, I can tell what mine is here. It looks like a crab. It looks like a flying bat. It looks like a devil. It looks like two bears are fighting. It looks like a frog specimen. Now, you can go on to look at what all this part really means by coding different parts. There was actually a suffix coding book for each part could be symbolic of anything. And potential personality traits as reflected here could be anxiety, worry, or anything like. Okay, now you know what is the ink block. Let's continue to look at Rorschach ink block test. There are 10 official ink blocks. 5 ink blocks are black ink on white paper, 2 are black and red ink on white paper, and 3 are multicolored. After the individual has seen and responded to all the ink blocks pictures, the tester then gives them to him, again, one at a time to study. The patient is asked to note where he sees what he originally saw and what make it look like now. The blot can also be rotated. And as the patient is examining the ink blocks, the psychologist writes down everything the patient says and does, and no matter how trivial it is, and this is what later coding. coding is very complicated. I don't have to report it to you. But anyway, the form quality of the respondents is important for the assessment, the content responses, and the degree, the mental organizing activity that is involved in producing the responses, and any illogical, incoherent, or inconsistent aspects of the responses. These are the points for scoring. I don't have to go any further. I just want to introduce this to you. Now, very few people use it anymore because it's too sophisticated. For so many years, the tester want to establish validity, reliability, and have the standardization. Validity, reliability could never be surely reliably established. So psychologists basically give it up. The clinicians sometimes still use it to probe for unusual information that may be related to their pathologies. And this gives us the cartoon. Look at the poor Rorschach. He's been putting ink on all over his body. The words at the bottom says, "Rorschach, what's become of you?" That's pretty interesting. And this is the real Rorschach I want to show you. And he died in 1922. Look at his hairstyle. It is still fashionable nowadays as it is 120 or 30 years ago. So this guy really is modern. Look at the hairstyle he has. Not only that, does he remind you of any superstar, American superstar? And here is the guy. His name is Brad Pitt. And you can see Brad Pitt resembles so much Rorschach. They have a resemblance, or just for your information, for your fun. Okay, we said this much about Rorschach, his test, and himself.